All right, California's at it again. A $20 minimum wage in California. I don't know. Is this going to spark 20 bucks around the country, or is this just California? If it's just California, fine, whatever. I'm sure everything's expensive in California. It's the state's kind of a dumpster fire at this point, so I'm not surprised. But let me read this article. I'm going to try and get through this pretty quick. So it's from Reuters. Yeah, this might be all right. The kind of article they could probably do all right with. California minimum wage for fast food workers raised to 20 bucks an hour. So September 28th. This article is a few days old. Fast food workers in California will earn a minimum of 20 bucks an hour and have a greater say in setting workplace standards under a new bill signed into law on Thursday by Governor Gavin Newsom. The future happens here first, Newsom said in an event in Los Angeles, with labor officials and fast food workers flanking him. Yeah. Oh, happens here first? Get out of here, buddy. What do you mean it happens there first? You're the joke. The legislation emerged as part of a broader compromise in which fast food companies agreed to remove a 2024 ballot referendum asking voters to repeal a law aimed at improving wages and working conditions for employees. Excuse me. Labor unions, meanwhile, dropped their push to hold fast food corporations liable for violations committed by their franchisees. The median fast food worker in the U.S. earned $13.43 an hour in 2022, while those in California made an average of $16.60 an hour, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. The new minimum, which takes effect in April, equates to an annual salary of $41,600. That's crazy. 41,600. I remember when I first had one of my first jobs, my first good jobs when I was like 19. My salary was 42,000, and it was a great salary back then. I was so excited to get a salary of 42,000 bucks at 19. Now it's minimum wage. There are more than 550,000 fast food workers at 30,000 locations statewide, Newsom said. The majority are primary providers for their families. Contrary to the perception that fast food workers are teenagers in their first jobs, while 80% are minorities and 2/3 are women, he added. Yeah, okay, great. They're not supposed to be those jobs. Fast food jobs are not supposed to be a living wage job. It's supposed to be the first steps into the workforce. We're supposed to have nice middle class jobs. We're supposed to 41,000. It's not supposed to be something where people are like, yeah, cool, I'm making 41,000. You're supposed to be like, well, this is a nice starting point. But this is the destruction of the middle class. Let's try and raise just a bit. Let's raise the lowest class and squeeze that middle class as much as we can. Stupid. It defies logic. We're not just about growth, he said. This state is about inclusion. Growth? What do you mean growth? Your state's dying. In addition to the higher wages, the law also establishes a fast food council, including representatives for both workers and employers that can improve further pay increases and set standards for working conditions in what labor leaders hailed as a historic move. Please, read better, me. The overall minimum wage in California is $15.50 an hour, among the highest of any state. Federal minimum wage, which has remained unchanged since 2009, is $7.25 an hour, or $15,000 a year for an employee working 40 hours a week. Wow, that's crazy. That's a little low. All right, well, yeah, I don't see how that's good news. But what do you got to say here, Joe? Yeah, exactly. Well, people are going to pay for this, right? People don't realize that it's now when minimum wage goes up. It's not like, oh, well, great, this money comes from nowhere. They just raise their prices, and we all pay more. So it's yeah. So what are you saying here? Yeah, okay. I get that idea, Joe, but we shouldn't be the idea. So Joe's comment here is he says anyone that works full time shouldn't live in poverty, no matter the job. The idea that we're bolstering up jobs that should be like entry level type jobs, and we're increasing the wage on those, but we're not. So nothing else is increasing. So people that are working, say whatever, like engineers, nurses, people that are working jobs that are in the middle class, they're not getting a raise to match those raises. So when you get a raise on the low end like that, now prices go up everywhere. to account for that, it's not as if that person who's making minimum wage is now, it says, oh, they're making a livable wage. Well, not really, if everything else is going back up as well. And most times not at the same level in which that wage has gone up. For example, you look at inflation over the last 3 years, it's basically doubled. The value or the price of things have pretty much doubled. Wages haven't gone up in that way, in that regard. So if you increase the minimum wage by a couple dollars an hour, it's still not accounting for that. It just makes people think that they're going to make more and that they're going to do better. But realistically, that's not what's happening. It's just squeezing that middle class. Yeah, and I blame corporate greed, of course. We have laws against corporate greed, but this case they're not being exercised. And unfortunately, I don't think California is going to be the place to really do much about this. Since they kind of seem to lead the charge on woke garbage policies.